Well, we've come a long ways. In the year 2000, the world wasn't focused on this problem. We didn't have science working on it. We didn't have funds going after it. And since that time, we've gone from 1 million children a year dying now to about 400,000. So that's still tragic. We should get it down even more. But amazing what we've done. And we have a pipeline of innovations, whether it's drugs or new insecticides that are coming along. So even as the mosquito evolves away from being susceptible, we come in with a new
I mean, what is the vulnerability? Why are these mosquitoes still getting through?
Well, anytime you use the same insecticide over a period of time, it puts pressure on the mosquitoes to evolve around it. And originally DDT worked well. The mosquitoes evolved around that. This generation is called pyrethroid. We've continued to use it because we've got the cost down a lot until we see the resistance. And I just showed the new bed net that has a novel insecticide, actually 2 on the same net. That net will cost a little bit more, but given the resistance, we need to get that out there as fast as we can. So, we're being smart. We're using a lot of modeling to predict what the best tools are. And in the long run, we can beat it. But this is going to take decades to fully finish.
And the preventative things like nets and vaccinations, and also the palliative things for people who are affected with it, do all the people who need it have access to those now?
Getting the bed nets out to the most rural areas is always a challenge. If you have a good primary health care system, then that's the vehicle we use. But if you get to, say, Democratic Republic of Congo, it's hard. We did actually succeed in getting the nets out to a lot of areas. We go out and do surveillance to see, okay, where there's still a lot of cases. And so we've got a map now that's actually pretty precise down to a fine resolution, and it shows us there's still hot spots. So no, it's never easy to get these things out to every child in the world.
And what about the smart solutions, things like genetic manipulation? Where are we on that?
In the lab, there's a technique called CRISPR that can change the mosquito DNA in a way that either the population goes down a lot or it doesn't carry this parasite. And we're talking through with the African countries what sort of tests, trials do we need to do before that gets added to the arsenal. So it'll take a number of years to get all those country approvals, but the potential there to reduce the mosquito population and therefore locally get rid of the disease makes it a very promising addition.
I mean, we're talking about people in poor countries, primarily in Africa. Where does the technology that you developed at Microsoft and others, where does that come in this fight against malaria?
Well, the digital tools, they let researchers work together. They let people do simulations to decide what the mix of tools is best. Saving a child from malaria is more basic than computing. So we're going to the toughest places in the world to say, okay, let's get a bed net out there. Let's get this kid to grow up in a healthy way, not have the cerebral malaria that permanently damages these kids' cognitive abilities.
You give them a lot of money. Taxpayers also give a lot of money. A lot of argument about that. Do you think it's right that countries like Britain, which still have many poor people, should be assisting these sort of programs?
Well, I think if you take 1.5% of your budget and say, okay, for the poorest of the world, which is 20 times as many people live here, if you're having, dramatic impact where you're saving lives for a very small amount of money and you're transforming those societies so over time they can be stable, they can be self-sufficient, their population growth goes down so that issues like the environment and stability and pandemics are easier to deal with. I think it's a very smart investment. The 98.5% of the money, should all be spent here, and the amount you're willing to spend per person is, way over 100 times. But to have that 1.5%, I think it's brilliant. And that money, I've chosen to spend money on these things right along with DFID. We're picking things. We're getting smarter all the time. I wish everybody could go out and see it because they'd be proud.
What about the British contribution? I mean, you've written today in the newspapers about the Commonwealth. I mean, a lot of people might be surprised to see an American coming to a sort of post-British imperial event.
Well, the Commonwealth is a pretty good construct because you've got countries like Canada and Australia and the UK that are helping these other countries. It's not just a region. You've got every level of income in the Commonwealth. Over half the people who are susceptible to malaria, over 90% of Commonwealth citizens are at risk of getting malaria. So we were super pleased that the Commonwealth organizers said, okay, on the side, we're going to have top-level people here. You can bring visibility to the need to double down and move ahead on this disease. So it's been a great collaboration to do it in connection with the Commonwealth.
I mean, you weren't a fan of Brexit. How do you find Britain now that we are leaving the European Union? You think we are still as internationalists as we used to be?
Well, the great scientists are here, working out exactly how the R&D money is going to work, and scientists coming from other countries. No doubt, the UK is going to be at the forefront of a lot of these medical science issues, whether it's dementia, malaria. We've got over $1 billion of grants here in the UK funding science because it's incredible science.
Do you think you were perhaps over gloomy about Brexit?
I am not a voter in the UK, so.
But you did say you didn't think it looked like a great idea.
No, that was my view, and you don't get to try the UK with Brexit and without Brexit and compare the two. So now we'll take advantage of the great capabilities here. We'll make sure we're being pragmatic about how things are changing. We're very committed to partner with the UK.
You used to be the richest man in the world. I think you're now the second richest man in the world. Commiserations on that. I mean, why did you decide with your wife and your foundation to devote so much of your fortune to philanthropy?
Well, the money we have should go back to society to have the greatest possible impact. And funding innovation, funding work in the poorest countries of the world, I think we need more people to get engaged in that. It's very exciting when we can make progress like we have. A lot of the skills of building partnerships, funding science that I developed at Microsoft, I'm getting to use in my work at the foundation. And it's not like we're going to spend the money on ourselves, or that we think it'd be a favor to create some dynastic approach to this fortune. It will be spent on these issues.
I mean, the reason why I'm asking you that is because obviously it's not what every billionaire does with their money, so there must be something different, or maybe something they ought to be doing.
Well, more of the very wealthy are engaging in philanthropy. It's a growing thing. We have a group called the Giving Pledge of the people who've been very successful or committed to giving the majority of their wealth. We have quite a few, about 10 here in the UK. After the US, it's the country that's got the most committed to this Giving Pledge. So helping people spend that money well, enjoy spending that money, and set an example to draw all of the wealthy in, that's another thing I think is helpful and I enjoy doing.
And do you think you're the next generation, if you like, we call them the FANG, don't we, quite often? Do you think they are living up to their social responsibilities in the same way?
Well, it's actually impressive that some of those leaders at a younger age than I did are getting involved in philanthropy. And so, yes, the tech industry, most of the people who are successful there, I think, will be really strong philanthropists. We see that worldwide as a sector that doesn't think that they're going to pass it along, so they want it to go back and help reduce inequity.
What about the downside? I mean, I guess as these technologies are being developed, people didn't see the adverse consequences, which with Facebook and other things they're seeing now. That would be a correct assumption, would it?
Oh, it's true. Cars ended up killing people. Electricity ended up electrocuting people. Almost nothing we've ever invented is 100% beneficial. And figuring out, okay, how do you deal with the safety issues, and how do you deal with the licensing issues? And we're seeing, as this technology becomes so pervasive, even a key tool of communication, there's a lot of regulatory issues that are having to be developed.
I mean, you think government needs to get involved more? I mean,
Well, certainly, this is the
if they came to you and said, look, you're one of the creators of the internet, what needs to be done to regulate it now and make it a better and safer place?
well, the privacy laws. Europe's got a new set of regulations. Those are, companies are going to adhere to those, and I'm sure they'll have to evolve. But it's a good first step to put consumers in control, and the governments have the ability to set the rules and make sure that the negative effects are minimized.
We need governments. We can't just do it all online.
Well, I'm certainly a huge believer in government, whether it's infrastructure, education, justice, for all the imperfections of the rich world governments. When I'm in Africa, I dream that we'd have anything like that effectiveness.
What even with Donald Trump?
Well, the U.S. government's a well-run government, and we can always, exercise our democratic voices trying to make it better.
Bill Gates, thank you.